First questions first. Did you expect male Byleth? And I'm just gonna say it right now. For me, like 10 minutes before this came out, I was just like, you know what? If you had to ask me, I think it's Byleth, Legendary Byleth. Female Legendary Byleth. I didn't think it was gonna be male at all.
I 100% did not expect Byleth because I didn't think that Byleth would be a mage.
Yeah.
Nor did I think it would be anything but green because it was inevitably green.
Yeah, we knew it had to be green, but I still...
That was weird.
By the way, this is the most fraudulent green hero of all time.
That's also part of it. First off, the tome doesn't exist and Psychic evolved. He's totally just cheating.
Yeah,
I used the creator sword.
This is an easy excuse to make a Brave Hector and Fallen Edelgard counter.
Yes, but it's not perfect because he's legendary. That's the one thing I don't like, because you can't deploy him all the time unless you want to really risk taking a huge loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's not a perfect counter. He is a counter for Arena Assault especially, but if you're pulling heroes for Arena Assault purposes, that makes me wince.
Helps to a degree, especially legendary heroes who are on rotation multiple times.
Now, I think whales are rejoicing. They're like, yes! Legendary hero, scores extremely well. Long-term hero, and especially because Vectors and Edelgards are still in like arena teams and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good long-term counter for a lot of whales. But for the average player, this is a lot harder for me to suggest on the basis of getting it for meta purposes. Because for me, I view this as something that you switch in on during water seasons, and then maybe for Arena Assault is more consistent. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that kind of just applies to most units at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would ordinarily say he'd work great in Ether Raids, but, you know, obviously water season, so.
Now, the other thing that... Okay, sorry, I have to go back to this. I can't believe they did this. IS isn't being fair here. How in the world were we supposed to guess it was male Byleth? Huh? I'm sorry.
Exactly.
There was like no way to guess that.
There was no way.
The one
This
thing
is a
that was
made-up
holding me
unit.
back from guessing Byleth was green. It's like, why would Byleth be green? I was like, they want to do Byleth, but why would they make him green? And here we are.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, they found a way.
I think the most accurate way of describing Legendary Byleth is that he's the first magical green sword hero in the entire game.
He's very specific like that.
It doesn't make any sense, but all right, cool. Male Byleth, male Legendary Byleth is a thing. All right, but in terms of his kit, Sublime Heaven, that's definitely a perf, right?
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
good. Because remember when Ruptured Sky came out, we were like, that's a perf, right? That's a special, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No.
They were a little more merciful this time with that one. Or they will be, most likely.
Most
I
likely.
mean,
Yeah. Well, it has to be
Well,
because a legendary hero always has a perf special or a
Oh,
skill,
absolutely.
so, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Good.
And besides, it's a 2 cooldown, basically Draconic Aura with extras. A la Holy Knight Aura.
Yeah.
It's absurdly good.
Yeah, instead of opponent's attack, it's your own attack, so it's like more Draconic Aura, yeah. But yeah, the thing is, because he has time spells and because of professorial text. I'm sorry, is that even a real thing? That's not real, right?
Professorial text. It's not a real tome.
Okay.
Yeah, the word is real. The tone.
It's a. I mean, I would assume it's just a character reference at that point, but
Yeah.
definitely not a tome.
This sounds stupid. Like when I first read it, I was so confused. All right. But it's a great combination because it's slaying with time spells means instant Sublime Heaven, which means this is one of the highest damaging burst deal damagers in the game. And I want to be clear, before he is even here, before Resplendent Merrick is even here, he is literally getting shat on right now. Because his best build, I would argue, for Resplendent Merrick would have been Ruptured Sky, which Sublime Heaven is just better than. Not Time Spells, but Special Spiral in your B slot, and Dark Excalibur in your A slot, in your weapon
Why
slot.
would you? Oh yeah, if you're doing Dark Excalibur.
Yeah, instant Ruptured Sky is the idea.
I mean, you could technically do this already with Pen. And any slaying.
I know, but it's just because he just got his Resplendent, and that was the only build that I thought he would do exceptionally well.
I mean, he still does the slaying build decently well because he's the only free-to-play slaying tome. But
the amount of people who've made Merrick is like non-existent. And if you were gonna start a new Merrick, I would just suggest pick up a Byleth.
Just pick up, unmerged. He's still gonna perform. Well, I'd say pretty much better than even a like plus 10, plus 15 Merrick.
Yep, and the biggest reason is because of the rest of professorial text. Not only is it slaying, not only do you get if unit initiates combat or is within 2 space an ally, attack speed, defense, rest +5, but also if unit speed is or foe speed during combat, neutralize effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and effects that prevent units follow-up attacks. That is so easy.
I wonder if we're going to be seeing phantom speed units with like phantom speed allies with this Byleth to help activate no follow-up.
Probably.
I would hope the build actually gets him enough speed to where he naturally doubles though. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I think he'll be pretty fast, despite it's a little bit odd though that his other skills don't grant any speed. But I see they're trying to kind of go.
He's a generalist.
I was gonna say they're trying to make him kind of a generalist with his skills. It seems like,
which is unique considering speedy mages dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And physical mages are like Leif, dual Leif at this point.
Which again,
I think if
go ahead.
Okay, so I was gonna say basically, unless you're like doing a wind sweep build, I don't think you really need to go for the speed because if you're not using wind sweep, you're gonna have to tank a hit every now and again, so you might as well take that defense or extra like resistance.
I agree, because most heroes you need null follow-ups on are kind of slow anyways.
Yeah, pretty much. Though that said, if you want him to kind of be more like a female Summer Byleth and build, you would just run wind sweep but speed stacking.
Yep.
Slightly bulkier Summer Female Byleth at that point.
Yep. All right. But with that said, to have null follow-up in the weapon, this is why I'm saying he's so much better than Merrick, because there's no way to keep up. He has more inherent...
any 5-star lock is better than Merrick.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, this is really sad because he doesn't even have his time in the sun. Like, if he had his resplendent like 2 months earlier or something, like he would at least have some time. But
yeah,
he's actually. I think he's gonna power creep even with Resplendent. I think he's gonna power creep Merrick's stats a lot because I can, based on his kit,
obviously.
I think he's gonna have,
yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I know that's
inevitable.
No,
but...
I know that's inevitable, but I mean, like power creep in the sense, I think he's gonna have pretty good defense and a mage with like pretty good speed and pretty good defense.
But that was the thing.
Merrick, except Byleth is gonna have way more attack.
That was what Merrick was known for back in the day. A mage with pretty good defense, even though it was like 31 at base.
Yeah, it's like
he has good HP
29
too.
Base or something. Yeah, but
there's nothing saying Byleth isn't Bramimond.
Yeah, this is actually that's a good pointer. This is basically Bramimond. Low attack res, but instead of attack defense push, it's attack defense ideal.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing saying he doesn't pull a Bramimond by having bad defense and forcing it through his kit rather than having it by natural. So he might have a bad defense stat, but his kit is giving so much it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but people still get surprised by Bramimond. I've seen it in so many ether raids where like, oh, I can kill Bramimond. He's survived.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's still don't catch people off guard. But all right, the second part of it is what really gets to me, because if units within 2 spaces gain, allies within 2 spaces gain if unit speed is over foe speed during combat, neutralize effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and effects that prevents units follow-up attacks. The fact of the matter is just that I don't think it's fair to give null follow-up just by being within 2 spaces. I guess there's a speed check, but honestly, again, most of the fast units are the heroes that really need speed checks. All right, sorry, would be the ones who need null follow-up, and then they would win the speed checks anyways.
Exactly. Like, I'm definitely going to be using this with my Bride Catchery if I ever get it.
That's what I'm saying.
If I get it.
That combination is so absurd, because you could potentially do wind sweep with null follow-up and auto doubles.
Like, I already do wind sweep with her, and that's because I don't really need the double, but like with this, it's like I don't even have to worry about that anymore.
You can quad and not get counterattacked. You can quad guaranteed.
Which is dumb, because most heroes die in the first 2 shots, but if they don't die, 2 more shots, and you don't even get hit.
Yep.
So insanely broken.
That's a dumb combination. And you know the worst thing is, because they're so close to each other, definitely somebody in IS's team pointed that out, that they could do that, and they probably still went ahead with it.
Yeah. Inevitably.
That's IS for you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, with that said, chat, that's one of the best tomes in the entire game. It's funny because if they didn't even do the second part, it would have still been a top tier tome. Null follow-up in a tome, excellent. +5 to all stats, excellent. Slaying ability, excellent. It would have just been an excellent tome.
It's failed not, but instead of having guaranteed no follow-up, you can support no follow-up.
Although fail nots is slightly conditional too, in that it.
Well, yeah, but it's the same condition as the stats, which this one has 2 conditions to meet that no follow-up.
Right.
So it's basically just fail not supportive, which is arguably even better.
Yes. There is nothing in the entire game that does something like this. The closest thing was Katria. Closest thing to she gives a status effect, so possibly better. But this is this can set up some ridiculous things. The fact that you don't have to run null follow anymore is just insane. You could do such crazy combination.
Hey top flyers, Cavs and Armored can't do anything about auto doubles or preventions? Turn them into an infantry unit with Byleth.
Yeah, if you want to know follow-up cavalry, by all means.
That's the bigger pointer because, right, if you're in control of this, you can set it up even easier. But the reality is that heroes that can't use null follow-up can now use null follow-up because they're just being next to Byleth.
Yep. Not to say you should build the unit around that, but you can absolutely have units that abuse no follow-up that wouldn't otherwise be able to.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking you could maybe do like a fast armored unit with like maybe like odd follow-up or even follow-up, and then that have this Byleth near them. That way you get null follow-up and a guaranteed follow-up and stop the foe's follow-up.
Yeah, something like that.
There's a lot of timing and positioning with that, but it's not that bad. So yeah, there's a lot of promise here.
Considering you can get the odd and even follow-ups pretty cheap on like seasonal.
Yeah, because they're on 4-star
stars.
focus units. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The rest of this, though, the only unfortunate thing is not ideal fodder. He has attack defense ideal, law attack res, times pulse, but you can only take one.
What are you talking about? He's the most ideal fodder. It's right there.
Oh. You hurt me,
That's
Legion.
physically painful. But I'm still thinking it'll take a little bit for them to demote ideal or catch skills. We haven't gotten any yet, of course.
Right.
So.
I think there'll be quite a while before we start demoting regular ideals. So
Sadly, yeah, and then all the people who have foddered these type of units will get really sad when that happens.
Yep.
I will admit, I have been looking for a hero with times pulse, but every goddamn times pulse hero outside of Sothis has other amazing skills.
That's why we don't build Sothis.
Shut up! She's my girl.
Can become much harder if all the foes
The best
have
dark
access to
mythic.
NFU regardless of movement type.
Yeah, that water season's now much worse because Legendary Crom can have no follow-up while still being able to maintain a speed-oriented build.
No.
I can also
Yeah,
see
you could run low speed defense and no follow-up, technically. Yeah.
I can also see how annoying this could be because you can't really bait Byleth. That's a lot of damage in a burst.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Guaranteed at
again,
the start.
much like Legendary Leif, he's not going to be the kind of unit to just die in a single shot. Not Legendary Leif, Dual Leif.
Oh fuck, you're
Not
right.
the kind of unit to die in a single shot.
Because attack defense ideal and low attack res, even if you had like Young Marth, for example, with distant counter and Hero's Blood, I guess with Hero's Blood's probably enough.
With
but
Hero's Blood, you'd probably kill. But otherwise,
without it,
it's 50-50.
okay, I'm gonna wonder about his stats, but needless to say, excellent kit, excellent weapon, excellent special. Not much to say. This is, I guess the only thing is like, do you go for Windsweep or something?
I think most whales are going to go for Windsweep, 100%.
Yeah. But I personally don't know for the average player, low attack res is really good, and he has attack defense ideal, so he'll tank.
If he's low mid-merge, use no.
Animation looks like it belongs to an inheritable seasonal weapon.
Yeah, his tome animation. I mean, I love the fact that it's using random accessories, but it is just Rexcalibur with some extra paint.
It does have the smash
really
letter
weird.
with it though, so that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's a random pool of accessories and other items probably related to Three Houses, which I think is actually.
I didn't even realize that is the smash letter. We have. I don't think we've ever gotten a smash reference in this game.
We did.
We did.
When they did an announcement to commemorate Smash 5.
Oh, well, I mean, like in a character's like animation or kit or something like that.
Well,
I
actually,
mean,
Resplendent Crom's attack animation is just Crom jab.
I guess it looks worse.
Yeah.
I guess you could count that technically. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if we are being totally technical, some of the voice actors were in Smash first.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
So I guess technically, if you depending on how much you stretch it, this isn't the first. Yeah.
All right.
But not the tome animations, whatever. I like the references. I like the fact that the Creator Sword actually made an appearance, but still surprised after a show.
It's not Sigma, no way.
More than 500 SP that has Ruptured Sky as its requirement.
It might actually be a Ruptured Sky requirement. I wouldn't be surprised.
Actually, that'd be really cool. I would like that. That actually
That
makes
would
him
also
a lot
mean-
more ideal
You will get
fodder.
to realize that Sublime
4 tiers
Heaven
of specials,
uses his own
though,
attack,
but
not
yeah.
his target. So he is like Sigurd in that regard.
Yes, he is legendary. He's actually just straight up legendary Sigurd, but instead of stupidness and his extra movement, he gets Deadeye. Also, if you're a dragon or a beast, you're dead.
That's
Yeah,
more accurate.
that's pretty much the thing that part of why I count as Fallen Edelgard is instant special, 50% on her, and then nullifies her damage reduction, which is
Yep.
that's
So-
basically recipe for one shot.
Ignoring the fact that she has a fighter, which she straight up counters, she's just dead.
Mm-hmm.
That first special is just gonna kill her. So, Fallen Edelgard might see a small drop if Byleth is played correctly.
I will say this is one of the heroes that might be changed a lot because a lot of the heroes being released nowadays don't get many changes, but he might not actually have enough speed to consistently double with his current kit. With his current kit to
There's no
warrant.
such thing. No such thing as enough speed.
Yeah, there's no such thing as enough speed. It pisses. Today I used like my 64, 67 speed Zane against Not. And even though Menace doesn't affect Zane, it still gives her a buff. They went an even exchange. She got Wings of Mercy, and then she killed my dagger, which was dumb.
Yep.
It was so dumb.
Exactly.
Like, nowadays it's really difficult to get enough speed. So that's why I'm worried from that respect. But if he goes Windsweep, you probably are going to switch to a more faster A slot to justify it.
Swift Sparrow, not likely. It's going to mostly be like attack speed, push, fury. The prospecting individual might be life and death. Even attack speed ideal if people have the fodder, but mostly attack speed, push, or fury. For
Okay, now, chat, to be clear, I'm not talking about him having low speed as a whole. I fully expect him to have like 39 speed, for example, and a super beating speed or something.
41 to 43. I wouldn't be surprised if it's as high as 43.
Sure, but my point
I could
is,
see that.
it's more about his kit, because if his kit's not helping out, you need everything to go into speed nowadays to make sure you double.
Yeah.
It's that bad.
Yeah.
The most glaring thing is his A slot not boosting speed, and a lot of A slots can boost speed by as much as 7, 8, 9 points. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so even though... So even though I'm worried about his speed, I don't think he's actually slow. I'm more worried about his kit not being the best for a Windsweep build, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
You will absolutely have to change it if you want to do that consistently. Though, in this regard, he still is, in this case, not likely to die as often, which has its own booms,
Right.
for what that's worth.
But that's really cool
So-
that he even gets to make
Yeah.
that choice.
Oh, yeah.
It'll depend a little bit on what his bulk looks like. If his base bulk is good, then that's kind of
It's
Like,
not
to change
likely. It can't be. Something's going to have to drop
yeah.
because he's
that's
going to have
probably
high
not gonna
attack
be
and high
great.
speed. He has high attack and high speed guaranteed. Now, being in modern generation infantry, he does have either the choice of decent defense or decent res. But my expectation is probably like somewhere around 25 to 27 defense with low
Yeah.
20s res.
Yeah, I
That sounds
expect that
about
as well.
right.
All right.
So-
Wait, what does he improve again? Speed?
Nobody. No stat.
No
It's
stat?
pair up.
It's pair up,
Oh, sorry. Whoopsies.
so just HP.
I don't even know of any more. I'll be honest, chat. Legendaries haven't interested me in like a long time.
I don't care. I mean, Legendary Sigurd I can't not be interested in, but I don't prioritize them. The only
Right.
reason why, spoiler alert, why I'm prioritizing this banner is because Dagger also appears in green.
Right. So let's get to
Yeah,
the
we
rest
went
of the
over that
banner.
a little bit. Yeah.
I think green is absolutely worthwhile to pull for. Now,
I'm
people
playing
will
green.
begrudge Hel's being there, but I still think Hel's one of the more unique units in the entire game. That the fact of the matter is she can Miracle Loop, and that's really interesting in a lot of modes.
So we now have
But-
drive-in a few. When are we getting drive-in CD for my savior teams?
Dear God.
Yeah.
That would be terrifying.
If Null Sea Disrupt becomes accessible to armors, then Armor Ball with double Savior is actually going to be almost unstoppable.
You know why I wanted so badly to get Laura Shell? So I can stop having Hectors beat my ass. If they get Null Sea Disrupt, I'm done. There's no point on my team.
I mean, any large
shell
shell
just
comp is
done
done.
at that point.
Yeah,
Just
all
some
large
Legendary
shell
Byleth
teams.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Legendary Byleth, ironically, is the best counter to both Vector and Fatal. Like,
Yeah, which is really nice. He's an anti-meta unit in a sense.
But on
Yeah.
water seasons, because again, if you're not careful, you're gonna lose 100 lifts, and then it's not gonna matter, you know?
Yeah, I mean 80, 60, but even still, it's not ideal outside of season. But then again, you can always design comps if you're saying around like one with Byleth, one with Sigurd. I don't know what you would do otherwise, but something like that.
Yeah. God,
But-
that's the flavor of the month with whales. Or actually flavor of the week, because it changes every week. Flavor of the week with whales.
Yep.
My one gripe with Byleth is the artistic choice for Sublime Heaven. Once again went with a glowing radiant symbol.
Huh.
Kinda wished it would be like
Yeah.
a very flashy red
Yeah, I
lightning
get
like
that.
ruptured sky.
I mean, if I'm being honest, some of the animations were kind of taken a little short here, but then again, we just got Ashera, so I feel like my standards
Yeah.
are kind of pushed a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit.
Sure,
Ashera
it's something
definitely got
else,
the
yeah.
budget.
Yeah. The animators got tired.
Mhm. All right, but with that said, okay, greens. It's pretty clearly first because of Dagr. Heck, even if it wasn't Byleth wasn't green, it's pretty hard to beat as long as they put another good unit there, anyways. Because I still value Hel. I know people, not everyone does, but I really value Dagr. I think Legion knows best at this point. Just watching everybody go into their battles with 6 units, whereas Legion with his pedestrian 5 must have felt
Yeah.
left out, huh?
I mean,
Ugh.
at least
I
I have
feel
Fallen
that.
Edelgard as one of those units, and Gustav Henriette is another
Oh
2.
god. Well, I don't have that luxury, and I still have 5 units, so that's I've been struggling a little bit in light
But-
season.
Eventually, especially now with thanks to Byleth, there's going to come a point where light season isn't so brain dead, and 6 flood is almost mandatory if you want to be safe.
Yeah,
So,
because you don't want to go
Yeah.
5v6 even if one unit is disabled. It is really bad, considering that usually means they have more or the same amount of mythics. You don't really have any advantages anymore.
Yeah. So
And with the
I'm
quick
pulling
pushes
Dagr
nowadays.
as
Yeah.
hard as I can on this banner. Like that's I'm going green all the way. And if I get a Byleth, I'd be very happy too.
yeah, I think that's just. I will just say immediately go green. If
Right,
you have
agree.
any opportunity, go green.
So
Mhm.
I've honestly just valued, this is probably the best defensive mage for green easily. Not that green really had many, but this is easily the best defensive mage. We'll see if he's the best
Oh,
defensive mage, period, because I get it. Like, I get what they're going for here by making him balanced, but I can't help but feel like min-max mages like Leif, for example, are really good.
Leif is actually quite the opposite of Max. It's just that he doesn't really lack speed enough to not get stopped by wary, and he has the defense most mages don't.
Right.
Mhm.
But
So,
he has the right distribution. Byleth, I don't expect that.
Yeah. So it's, yeah, that distribution. So it's going to be interesting to see how bulky he's going to be. But yeah, for the rest of greens, it's really just about Hel. I would still value Hel, guys. It's not the worst hero to get. I know people are disappointed. I know some people are disappointed about Hel because she's really fallen out of favor. Everyone knows how to deal with her now, so she's not a big deal.
She used to be the critical defense mythic, like defense boosting mythic, but now that we have Note, not so useful. On the other hand, she's still a bonus mythic, and she still has somewhat of a niche because Mystic Boost Hel can actually straight up wall things like Brave Hector
Mhm.
or Fallen Edelgard if played correctly.
Yep.
So it has a niche. It's just not a great one.
She also
Yeah.
calculates damage using foes res chat, so it also
Mystic
surprises
Boost.
people her damage output.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Mystic
you can't
Boost
counter
can't
that with
offer-
Mystic Boost because it's just calculates. It's not lower. So
Right.
Okay.
So that's not bad. Not bad.
Okay, so with that said, the second best color is a lot more questionable. If Note was not on a banner earlier in this month, I would have said blue. But because she was, I'll even put Colorless above it.
Yeah,
It's definitely
I mean,
red for me, but that's just because my
Plumeria?
personal. Yeah, Plumeria and the fodder is the stuff I really need.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
if you count fodder, then I'd say my opinion of the banner shifts a little bit. Like which color's best, or not
Well,
which
everyone-
color's best, but which
Everyone
color's,
values
like,
things
second,
differently,
third.
so just value it how
Oh,
you
yes.
value it. No one has the same metrics.
Right.
So don't worry
No,
about
I
that.
know. I'm just saying from my perspective, yeah, I'd value something like colorless over red, for example,
right.
because of the units themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking through the rest of this, because I actually haven't checked most of the banner. Blue has some okay fodder. Erinys is good for like certain
Mhm.
people, but realistically, I mean, if you didn't get notes already, blue is also a high priority. If you didn't, for some reason, Sparker. But otherwise, if you already have, I would say that's largely skippable because Legendary Julia hasn't really gotten far with the meta.
Yeah, she's
isn't
a great
getting anywhere.
specialist, but unless you already have her at +10, this is a weird project to pick nowadays.
Yeah, and it's not like Mirror Impact is a particularly game-breaking skill these days.
Yep.
Compared to Sturdy.
Yep.
And Erinys is just a very specific unit. Not a lot of options for her right now that are particularly great.
And
she
following
does
her
have options.
is kind of hard because Legendary Azura is now about to go extinct because she's not on a banner apparently.
And she's going to get remixed the next time she's around, so she's going to be.
That's her
even
last
better.
chance. That's your last chance. I don't even. It was next year, right?
Yeah, next she'll probably be more on rotation once remix happens for her, but until then,
Yeah.
she's extinct.
Right.
And even then, she'll be much better by then, so I wouldn't necessarily say she's water.
Yeah, so this is why it's really hard to go for this because outside of Not, who is still absolute recommend, still really good fodder, attack speed menace is really good. Not to mention
Right.
she even has distant counter, so if you really want to go down that path, you could as well. So she's still valuable, but she's more valuable as a unit. It's just her partners are a bit more questionable in terms of both usage and fodder.
Right. Like, I think Erinys is an okay unit, too, but her fodder is awkward to path and niche.
Yep.
So I wouldn't really say blue is that amazing unless you don't have note, in which case, high recommend.
Yep.
Colorless actually is not bad.
I actually wanted to say this. I said it in the video too, but in the reaction video too, but if we went back to 2019, 2020, Colorless here is absurd.
Yeah, if we went back
Would
to
be
when
really
Bramimond
good.
came out, this colorless pool would have actually been the best colorless pool we could have gotten.
Yep. But
Yeah.
it's so funny. These are
Nowadays-
literally the best colorless units if you go back a year or two.
Yeah,
But it's pretty pedestrian now. It's like Legendary
It's
Leaf
still-
is probably the.
really.
I mean, it's still good. Legendary Leaf and Bramimond, I'd say, are the two
Oh,
standouts. And-
I wouldn't sleep on Legendary Alm either. His consistency never fails in this meta.
No, I know. I was about to say Legendary Alm is still consistent. He's still pretty good. It's just I think that those
It's
two
just-
have their niches that are really relevant even nowadays.
It's
You know?
not just that. Like, I rarely use all myself, even though I know what he's good for and he has an off-all and everything. And then worst yet, I haven't really seen him in Ether Raids anymore. Like, he used to be there
That's the
a
thing.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that he doesn't need to be there anymore, I don't think. Like, I think the Ether Rates meta in general is really not favoring infantry anymore, which is a part of why Byleth is a little suspect for me, but besides the point, Alm being infantry does have his disadvantages, whereas in Arena, he is always as a threat, but not necessarily the most uncounterable because of his lack of bulk.
Actually, he doesn't even hit that hard anymore. It's guaranteed damage, but I'm not.
Yeah, he doesn't hit
scared of getting
insanely.
hit.
Yeah, he usually only is going to hit once and then he's going to die.
Yeah.
It's going to hit
Pretty
hard,
much.
but it's not going to hit hard enough.
Yeah.
Whereas Leif, now granted, the only other reason with the colorless pool is that for most people, a lot of people already have these units, so it's kind of
Yeah.
passable in that regard.
They're
but-
also quite old at this point. Everybody.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Colorless pool isn't really getting much better with Legendary Mythics. Not a lot better, anyways.
Oh, well,
but
it's better than
Leif-
Legendary Grima every month.
It is. Although Grima is just showing up all the time in remixes now.
Yeah, at least you have a share out of that pool now.
Yeah, but even still, Legendary Leif is still one of the best units in the game, honestly. Like, it doesn't matter how much has gone by, I still hold that.
He's
Because
definitely absurd on those note lines.
yeah. Not only is Cavalry just broken in Ether Raid's defense, but first off, if you're using him as a player, he has impact.
Mhm.
Second, he still has an enemy phase thanks to Meister Bogan being dual phased. And third, he can just stack an insane amount of damage and mobility while also being a Gale Forcer for whatever reason.
Actually, the other thing is that people get caught off guard, but he's not a free kill. His res is actually higher than you expect. His defense is okay. Now, it's not the hardest thing to beat, but if you're not careful and he survives, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and again, if you're using him, he will probably not die because he only gets hit once.
Right.
So
if
even
Yep.
even then, he'll still survive.
Yep.
While getting his Gale Force, which is even more ridiculous.
Yep.
And then Bravimond, I think that it's just a constant at this point in Ether Raids that Bravimond is one of the better mythics.
Yep.
Really hard hitter, really surprisingly tanky, along the lines probably of Byleth.
Actually, he's also ideal fodder now because attack defense push. Wow.
Yeah, attack defense push demoted on Lex. as a 4-star skill, so now you can fodder low attack res and attack defense push at the same time. For those who want it. Kind of a weird set, though.
I know, but Bramimond is so useful in so many ways now.
I'd be surprised if nobody used their Heaths for the pre-fodder for that already.
Oh yeah, probably a few of those.
Heath is pretty not so great.
Okay, but the
Colorless is not bad.
Right. So, yeah, the only one I have questions on is Red. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Plumeria. She's amazing. She even has attack res rain, and attack res push. She's great fodder, and she's great as a unit. And I've loved using her. I will never even think about foddering her because every merge of a mythic that you use consistently, like if you have her, you use her. There's almost no reason not to use her. She's that good.
Mythic.
I've used her ever since I got her, and I'm really glad. She's helped me so many times.
I have never failed to deploy Plumeria since I got her. Every team I have has her and has never changed because Mythic Dancers are probably the most valuable mythics, period.
Yep.
Most of the time. So, especially Plumeria is...
because her dance is just such a big stat swing, and it's really helpful.
And then,
and plus she buffs speed for whatever that's worth, which can be in some compositions really helpful. But there's just no denying she's one of the best mythics if you don't already have her.
Okay, just double checking. When did she come out?
November of last year,
September.
I believe. September.
Oh, Evan, you sure know this very well. Did you purposely skip out on her or something? What is wrong with you, man? How are you gonna do good in Ether raids if you don't have her?
Well, I only spent like 350 orbs for her.
Oh, she doesn't like you. I see.
Don't worry, I still don't have Mirabella.
She is the worst fairy, so it's fine.
What? She's the best fairy.
No, Mirabellis is the worst. Suck it.
Yes.
Yeah, Mirabellis is the worst. All she wants to do is sleep.
Yeah, no. Plumeria, though, is still an essential, but Plumeria kind of carries the team, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like, the other two units. Annand and Leif are both fodder, unless you need the bonus mythic for Leif. Or if you like
times pulse, yay.
How times have changed, because Leif used to be terrifying, and now I don't care.
He never was terrifying in defense, but he was always a solid unit.
Oh, no. You can't say that. There were seasons before I left them alone on my left side. Everybody had the option of fighting Leif. They rather fight Patrine. They rather fight like 3 other units than fight Leif. It always blew my mind. But that's how scared people were of him. They didn't want to engage him for some reason.
Yeah, I guess he was just a scary presence because I never really was terrified of him. Like, I used him a lot when I got him, and he was really fun to use. Like, honestly, I was
He's
surprised.
still really fun to use in Arena Assault. That's definitely
true. PvE modes are where he excels,
Exactly, but as a defense mythic, he is the worst.
Yeah.
Pretty much objectively the worst. So, unless you like him, or if you need the bonus mythic, he's DC times pulse, which is some of the best fodder in the game, granted.
It's insanely good.
But he's just fodder. Great fodder, but fodder.
And Annand is also great fodder. Sturdy Impact Guard Bearing isn't like a great combination, but it's at least something. And if you have to put it on a flyer.
And Unbound Blade.
Yeah, you can do Sturdy
Impact
Unbound Blade, which is quite good too. So.
Yeah. So you can either make a good flyer or you can make a really good sword out of that. Like, it's not bad fodder, but otherwise the unit is just kind of unremarkable.
Yeah, I feel bad for Annand because I can't recommend her. Like,
did you all not see the Annand that Nims reviewed like over a week ago? That was amazing.
Oh, there was. If you invest into her, no question that she's gonna turn out pretty well. It's just
the
investment you need to put into her is, in my opinion, not worth the.
No, the problem is all these months later, Hel is out. There's no point anymore.
That's true.
I mean, speed control is still in Annand's favor. She has one of the best attack speed sums of sword flyers, but there's a reason why perf units almost always win out. If you have your own weapon, you're probably just going to be better, even if you're not directly competing in that class type. Paula is just way better because she has bulk still, kind of like Annand, but performs remarkably well thanks to Lady Blade, which is her signature brave weapon that also has Canto and adaptive damage for some reason.
I still don't understand. That's way too good. But anyways, so to sum it up, I have it as obviously green first, then color second. If you don't have not, then it's blue second for you, obviously. But color second, and then blue, and then red. And the only reason I have red so low, even though Leif is such good fodder, is because of Annand. I really don't.
And it's pulling a mythic banner for fodder or legendary banner for fodder, which is
So
not
difficult.
my usual recommendation.
Right.
You have to let's put it this way. With legendary mythic banners, I would almost always say if you don't like the color as a whole, don't bother with it.
Same. Yep.
Because you're probably going to get pity broken by a unit you don't want.
Yeah. Isn't it the 2 out of 3 rule that if you like 2 out of the 3 units that are on
Yeah.
the color, you should probably
Yeah.
go for it?
Usually, though I usually like to go 3 out of 3 because
Well, that's ideally, yeah, you'd want to go for that.
you get screwed if you don't.
Yeah, red is
Yeah,
3 out of
luck-
3
luck
for me,
sometimes
which
is
is why I
that,
like
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Like, yeah,
Okay. But to sum it up, who's pulling?
me.
I'm pulling just green, and if I can't find green, then I'll pull probably, I don't know, probably blue, honestly.
I
It'll be-
can't pull. I have to save for Raphael's rerun
What?
in
Are you
August.
fucking? I'm sorry. I don't
I
want to
have
swear. Are you friggin' kidding me?
I
You're
have
never
to.
gonna get
I love
Plumeria. You're gonna
Raphael.
just suffer. Just suffer.
I love Raphael.
You deserve it. Just suffer. Just suffer.
I'm sorry. I love Raphael. I have to.
Dude, this is. You play Ether raids nearly every day, don't you?
Yeah. But I
Oh my!
love
What are you
Raphael
doing
so
yourself?
much.
I will say one thing because of Regan being free, you can just use a dancer. You lose mythic stat buffs, but you don't lose score by using the dancer as your bonus unit. So it's not as egregious now not to get Plumeria, but still, ouch.
I don't know, man. Plumeria. I mean, I like her as a character too, but the reality is just that she's such a great partner. When I run her with Kranya, heroes I can't kill, all of a sudden I have to refresh. Ooh, these debuffs are nice. These buffs are nice.
Yep.
And of course, she's also really good against mages, that you can leave her out there even if it's against a mage because she has so much res. I don't know. I like her a lot. It's just really silly to me that you're a serious Ether Raids player, and you absolutely are. Don't claim otherwise. And you don't have Plumeria. Okay.
I mean, I'm a serious Ether
Well,
Raids
that's
player, and I
personal
don't have
luck.
Dagger.
I invested 350 orbs into her. If that's not enough, who cares? I'm not getting her, I guess.